Hello, good morning. Welcome to another exciting time in the world of sports. It is Sports Central. My name is Vladimir from Twitter and Function. I here with me for company and ready for the talking point and excitement that comes through too. Part of those conversation, many will look at after the French Open in the world of tennis and talk about it. It would be a little here, a little there competition now, especially a grass court competition. And one of those has been the Queen's Club. Exciting times ahead for some of the superstars, the likes of Zengi. And up next for her would be against Emma Raducanu, who's been performing not so well, but somewhat somehow find a way to qualify until the quarterfinals of it. We'll also talk about athletics at the Stockholm Open, realizing Nigeria's top sprinter wouldn't be part of it. We're talking about the event taking place in Stockholm, the Diamond League. In the world of football, is based on transfers. Lewis Hamilton also giving his north in Formula One for a principal of the Ferrari. It would be a big conversation to look forward to and talk about this one. But first, I get to the guys. Which David, good morning. So you're happy today. Fontina, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thomas Frank, just a few days ago, was the second longest active, current senior manager in the APL. But currently, he's just has 2 days since he became the coach of Tottenham Hotspur. So he has to start a new chapter at Tottenham Hotspur. Hopefully, gets to be as exciting and as good as it was for him at Brentford Football Club.
I hope to get quite exciting as it was for him at Brentford Football Club. Will be really something to talk about. So David, good morning.
Well, an absolute delight to return on the show this particular morning. We're looking forward to the NNL last match week, particularly the season, drawing to a close. And from here, we should be talking about what happens in the playoffs and who joins who in the MP4 next season.
Well, big conversation for the Nigerian second division in football. Well, the main division had its ups and downs. Remo Stars going to win it, but the NNL building that momentum. Most of the teams are looking forward to how to climb and become part of the Nigeria Premier Football League. But first, in the world of sports, let's start with tennis, not football. Let's start with tennis. I'm moving straight to the Queen's Club. First time since 1973 that we had the Queen's Cup back, and it's getting even further exciting. The 500 tour level events. And part of the conversation would be the very fact that Zengi Wang got a victory, escaping in this one against Kessler. But up next for her would be against Emma Raducanu in the Queen's quarterfinals. Well, I was thinking who to start with, but Fontaine looked at me, so I start with you, Fontaine. Emma Raducanu somewhat somehow at home, but building that momentum. In recent times, when I see competition outside England, she fought as a line not playing so well. Thank goodness, no injuries for her. But up next for her would be against Zengi Wing. After Zengi Wing escaped against Kessler.
Well, for Zenki, when she's had a very good season in the grass court, talking about 2025, she's already equaled the number of wins she had last season in the grass court at this time. So it shows you that she's doing quite well for herself. We're talking about grass court level.
Even though the grass court is just barely started.
Exactly. It shows you that last year was very poor for her. So she started on a good note. So maybe a sign of good things to come forward, Lady Zenki, when Olympic champion. And, maybe we can get to expect more from her. Normally, I wouldn't expect her to be part of this competition, but she has stepped out of a few, especially the Royal Gareth, really didn't see her do well. So maybe she just wants to see how she can, get up the ranking points and move herself up the rankings.
Getting up the ranking point and move herself up the ranking. Well, to David, this particular matchup takes place at the Andamora Arena. It will be something you will look forward to. Zengi Wing seeded number one at this competition, but Emma Raducanu not seeded at all at this competition, and that's why taking place in England. Do you think Emma Raducanu can stand the face that comes with Zengi Wing?
Well, firstly, I'm looking at home favorites now. Emma Raducanu, doing well. She's got the backing.
Does it really work that much in tennis?
No, I mean, most fans in London would definitely be cheering for Emma Raducanu because she's Britain. But I'm also looking at the quality of Zenki winning this one, heading into that game against Emma Raducanu. Raducanu all through the entire duration of last, even this year, has actually struggled to make her way even to the last six or last four of a particular tournament. Not to even talk about top tournaments like the Grand Slams or even WTA tour level competitions. But I look at the Queen's Club as a competition where we'll have many British players participate.
Absolutely.
They look very confident whenever they're playing at home, and you mostly see them over there. I think the only player from that British contingent I'm actually very pleased with last year was Jack Draper, who did quite well, exceptionally. Absolutely, in the men's category. For the women, I can actually, of course, pinpoint any player who did quite well last year in terms of going through the ranks of the WTA rankings, even in the ATP as well. So I want to see more of them. Not just about the Queen's Club. You've made mention of it being a tour level, a 500 tour level competition. What happens in the next? We'll go to a Masters event. We'll go to Grand Slams. how many British contingents can we have there? But I think it's a good preparatory ground for them, trying to get back that momentum, especially for Raducanu, who's been far from convincing, I must say, no thanks to injury as well. But Zenki went in this one, a very big tournament to look forward to, a big game rather to look forward to, and I tip Zenki when getting the better of her.
Well, so that we think Zengiwan will get the better of Emma Raducanu in this one. Big one is taking place. First time we're seeing the Queen's Club host this tournament since I think it was 1973.
Yeah.
It happened the last time out. Good for them. British point of view. British have not been playing so well in the women's game. Another big game would be Madison Keys taking on Schneider. Well, Schneider is fifth seeded and Madison Keys are second seeded in this competition. I'll quickly move to the men's game and talk about the Lima Open. The Burma opener with Danny Medvedev winning. They call it a cat and mouse glass opener against familiar foe. Well, for us that we in this one, Danny Medvedev, some of those players you talk about, we've really talked about the very fact that consistency has been a thing. But in Livermore, somehow had to get a victory.
Oh, Daniel Medvedev, we've talked about him a lot of times in very bad light. He's not been doing so well. For currently, I think he's out of the top 10.
Especially this year.
Yeah, he's out of the top 10. ATP rankings currently shows you the level Daniel Medvedev has.
Now, always going to confirm it.
He's out of the top 10. He's out of the top 10. So he's not been able to beat that Daniel Medvedev we saw 2 years ago when he was hitting the ground running and setting the ground ablaze. But currently, let's just see what he can do. The Burma Open currently not really a top competition. It's not really had difficult opponents to face again. So let's just see how far he can go. If he cannot win a top level competition like the Burma Open, that's going to be so bad for him. So a player of his caliber, a player of his stature, a player of his status should be able to go all the way and win the Burma Open.
I got all the way and win the Burma Open. Well, world number 1 is Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz number 2, Alexander Zverev number 3, Jack Draper number 4, Novak Djokovic number 5 in the men's ranking, and number 6, Lorenzo Musetti. How did Musetti go this high?
Well, he had a very good start to the year. He's an Italian, so he's in the year of the Italian. You have what's her name now? Jasmine Paolini as well, doing so well in the WTA category. So it's been the year of the Italians.
Well, Taylor Fritz of America at world number 7, despite dropping 3 spots. Meaning before now he was world number 4. And number 8, Tommy Paul moved 4 spots, another American there. Number 9, Jorge Rune, Norwegian international. And we're talking about Alex Dimino, the Australian international at world number 10. Danny Medvedev, number 11, the likes of Ben Shelton, and Francis Tiafoe, number 12 and number 13, and respectively. Otto Fields of 14, and on and on. Andrei Rublev at number 15, the likes of Kasparov too. The stocks has really fallen in this particular year.
Absolutely.
Well, the year is still early. Many would say, hey, we can't see what gets happening for this guy. He's talking about Vera going past and Mochet in Stuttgart. But quickly, let's go to athletics. In the world of athletics, Nigeria's superstar, a sprinting superstar, Toby Amosun, Owumi is the Stockholm and Diamond League. Which whatever I start with you now. Recently, we're seeing incidences where Nigerians are not participating in league formats of sprinting events, athletics games that are taking place, which could be good preparation for them. But the consistency of seeing Nigerians not participating, and this one at Stockholm, won't be having Toby Amosun participating.
Well, it's rather unfortunate because I'm still looking forward to, of course, find one of the main reasons why Nigerians are missing out of top competitions like this. I made mention of one. I think that was 2 days ago, where I see the likes of Toby Amosun and other players favor of field missing out of action. And this is also, of course, a very big competition, an indoor, athletics event where many would say it could also be preparatory ground ahead of something quite big. Yes, we know they're missing out of competition, but why? Is it a case of the federation not doing their bid, or is it the athletes just trying to run? Because I know for Amosun this year, I think she's participated in 2 or 3, competition. Yeah, 1-1, and also set a record for herself this particular year. To signal the very fact that she's got intentions of participating. What I would really want to see them miss more competitions, because it sets the tone for what we could actually see before the end of the year for these Nigerian athletes. And I just wish we can actually have a clear reason why they're missing out of this major competitions. It could help, give Nigeria a very good name in the athletics event before the end of the year in terms of Laros 1.
Probably Infantino has answers to this question because I do not have Twitter if it doesn't. But another Nigerian athlete, Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, will not be involved
Shot put
in the shot put events and it's not included in the lineup of events.
Well, the shot put is not going to be at the Diamond League, so he's not going to be part of it. For Toby Amusen, we're going to have the 100-meter order. So the question is, why is she not going to be? There's no report yet as to why she's not going to be part of this. So remember, she just won the last one in Rabat, Morocco. So all eyes were waiting on her to get to Stockholm and maybe get to compete again with the very best. But she's not going to be part of it. Let's maybe look forward to the next one and she gets to be part of that one.
She gets to be part of that one. Let's talk about the one that Nigerians will be part of. We're talking about as a Nigerian camp. It's open ahead of African Fencing Championship. Well, about 12 Nigerians will be participating in this one. To be in Lagos, well, at home, June 25th and 29th. Fencing has somehow become a thing in Nigeria. I remember many years ago, if you want to talk about fencing, you wouldn't have a Nigerian being part of it.
Absolutely.
But in recent years, we've begun to see Nigerians develop interest. The Federation Fencing for me, I must give them kudos for doing a great job in that federation.
Well, I think it's quite good, of course, having developed in sports that weren't actually paid attention to, and the last years, being given so much attention now. We're even having Nigeria, hosting a major fencing, competition. So it shows you the intensity.
Well, in Africa, Nigeria, giant of Africa.
Maybe you could talk about giant of Africa, but where are we in terms of the fencing development, particularly? That's another major concern. But I must thank the federation, just like you mentioned of. They've actually been intentional about these particular sports, and I must actually give them credence, particularly in terms of organization and, of course, proper planning and actualization as well. We've actually had a few Nigerian representatives who didn't even learn fencing in the shores of a country. They actually, of course, learn fencing outside the shores of a country and come back home to represent Nigeria. And I just wish that with their wealth of experience, they can actually take along all the Nigerian youths who are intentional about learning more about fencing. Also, develop your skills and be a proper, force to reckon with in this particular sport. A good development, I must say, for sports, community right in the shores of the country.
A good development for sports, community, and development in the country. I want to ask you for about fencing. Before let's get to talk about Formula One. We hear that Alex Hamilton says that Ferrari team principal Frederick Vasseur is the person to take them to the top. Yeah. I make reports of him living beside Ferrari. This particular season, they've not really done so well. Maybe 3 podium finishes at House with Charles Leclerc. And when you talk about Hamilton, he won the sprint race in China, but it's not really added up for them. And there's speculation the principal officer, Frederick Vasseur, could be leaving, but he's showing his support for the man, saying in the near future, that's where we're going, he's taking us to the top. You see that happening for Ferrari in Formula One. Maybe not this season, maybe the next season.
Well, I think the Brits is just standing up for his friend, Frederick Vasseur, who he called Fred in the interview. I watched the interview and he was talking about the man too affectionately. So, they have maybe this close relationship with each other. So he's just standing up for the man who brought him to Ferrari, according to him. Because he said without the man, Frederick Vasseur, he's not going to be at Ferrari. He's the man who brought him in, and a lot of things going on behind the scenes. A lot of people will just look at it. So probably, he described the last Grand Prix he was in as one of the toughest since he moved to Ferrari because of some, in-house problems with the cars and the engines and all of that. He says there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we do not know yet.
He seems to be complaining about cars everywhere he goes, especially
when
he's not winning. And Mercedes, when he was winning, there were no complaints about cars. When he started losing, he started complaining about cars.
In his defense, Charles Leclerc is also doing poorly. Ferrari has only finished 3 times on the podium this particular season, so it shows you how poor Ferrari has been. So maybe I'll just take Lewis Hamilton word for it.
But on the other hand, Lewis Hamilton seems to be back up now, and Charles Leclerc being on the podium. He went to Ferrari, and many thought he was going to be the main man. Right now, he's not the main man of the side.
Well, it was almost clear that he will actually struggle. This is his first season with Team Ferrari, and I'm looking at
he's got lots of experience.
Yeah, he's got lots of experience, no doubt about that. But this particular psychology that comes
to
the very fact that you are.
You can drive any car.
Well, I do not think so. I do not think so. There will always be room for it, but I do not think it's a case. I do not think it's a case of Lewis Hamilton trying to get used to Team Ferrari. I just feel the man's stocks are considerably falling now in every single season. Now we've seen the emergence of other teams, the likes of Red Bull, dominating. Max Verstappen also doing quite well, trying to make podium finish. But I think this particular year has been quite different from what we saw the last 2 years. Even Max Verstappen is struggling with other franchises to make podium finish. So it's a clear case of more competitions now. Other franchises are getting more and solid drivers to drive their cars on track. And that's what we're also actually seeing. I mean, Lewis Hamilton too, Even last season when he was not doing well, he was always making podium finish. So what happens this season? So it's a clear case of the man's quality dropping. And I just feel maybe the next 2 3 seasons we may not just see Lewis Hamilton with a particular franchise.
What catches my attention when it has to do with Formula One? In fact, let's go back to football because when we talk about football, it's so clear, lots of physicality in it. When someone is,
I understand where Ford is
older,
coming from.
when someone is older, I'm going somewhere. When someone is older, they can run, they can lots of physicality involved. But driving a car, all you need to do is turn the wheels.
That's what we think.
And
That's
all
what
of
we
that.
think.
That's drift.
I've never been in a Formula One car.
So fast, it seems
Yeah.
like your hand.
It also needs critical thinking to drive, basically.
Which means seem like the older the better.
No, I don't think
I do
so.
not think
I don't
so.
think so. We've seen younger drivers
You're
always
saying-
do it better.
Because you talk about critical thinking. You getting older, you can think properly.
You can't think fast as you're getting older.
Come on,
That's
Your
conversation.
joints
No,
don't move as
absolutely.
fast as they used to.
I mean, those drifts. I mean, it takes a younger person to get those drifts where you turn, adjust them the each of time to the other tracks.
Maybe the right conversation is you get older, you're scared of taking lots of risks.
Exactly.
Maybe it could also be a clear case.
Yeah.
But I also think it also needs acclimatization process because 14 Ferrari, I mean, the way you drive Ferrari cars is actually different from Mercedes. But I do not think it will take a whole lot of time, or it should take a whole lot of time for the man to settle in Team Ferrari. I just feel at the moment the man's stocks is falling by every single day.
Let's also not forget that in his very first test for Ferrari, he blew up the car. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's a totally different engine.
Because
now.
I'm wondering, he's the 7-time champion. The best in history when I had to do Formula One.
Absolutely.
I just went to a new franchise and blew up the car in training, and you're asking what's wrong. Anyway, adaptation, the guys have spoken and saying could be a factor. But we'll see what happens with Lewis Hamilton. But if you're a follower of WWE, you always hear them say, don't try it at home. Trust me, in the Formula One car, don't try it at home. You can't even go there. Don't even try to drive like they drive. In a blink of second, the move so
Don't
fast.
try it on our roads.
You
It shouldn't
can't
even be at
even
home.
try it on our roads. You can't try it. But it's something. Big credit to that guy driving on super fast cars. Well, something. Yeah, we've got a quick break, and when we're back, conversation continues. Looking at the world of football and intricacies in it. The world of transfer, most importantly. Don't go anywhere. A readiness can be a thing, especially when it involves a word with their conversation. And that's morning. A welcome back to Sports Central. My name is Vladimir from Twitter, Fontina. Still with me for company going nowhere. And now let's talk about football stories around the world. Football, here we go. Well, a key story from the Nigerian Premier Football League, and I have to read it out so I don't mince words. It has to be Anas Yusuf. And information says he won't attend the 2025 UNICEF Golden Boot Awards ceremony, which is taking place today in Lagos after the Nigeria Premier Football League challenged organizers over what they call illegal use of the league's brand. While it remains to be seen if the event will also go ahead as planned, sources say the Lafia-based club confirmed that a player wouldn't grace the event as a result of the clash of interest. Unfortunately, I don't know what's in the UNICEF Award, which is the 7th year on the run and is designed to honor the highest goal scorer. Lots of mix-up now, but how it doesn't affect the money we're supposed to collect. 3 million now.
If you don't go for the award, you're not getting the award. That's it.
Oh, they can do it.
The ceremony is going to go through.
What's the challenge regarding brand conflict?
This is not the first time we're hearing things like this. The MPF will always seem to have issues with sponsorship. So at the end of maybe Unicel has used the MPFO's brand in a way they shouldn't have because when you're getting branding right, you're not you do not have right to do everything. There's a particular segment of the right that you might have, access to. But maybe Unicel has overstepped their boundaries, and now the MPFL are saying, no, this is not going to go ahead.
Well, I just have problems with the very fact. I do not know. I think it didn't just happen this season. I think even last season when we first had the MPFL led board side, led by Liman Benga Legbele, recall the first time we had that broadcast issue. The first time, contract where they had with a particular broadcasting firm. Before the start of the season, they had another broadcast firm, and they were actually communal clash in terms of contractual terms. The other party not agreeing to the other to cover matches. So it has always been more or less a recurring decimal in Nigerian football who have conflict of interest. So I do not think it's actually new in the Nigerian space, especially as it has to do with the MPFL side. I just feel with this particular case, there would have actually been an agreement signed and written. So you actually know your responsibilities as one of the sponsors of the league.
Well,
so
the stoppage is actually coming from the MPFL board.
Yes.
And the signing, the letter was sent to the organizers by the MPFL, which was cited, and the letters by the chairman of the MPFL board, Benga Legbele, described the award as illegal. He described the award as illegal. So somewhat, somehow, maybe they have another word for him.
But they were the sole sponsor of the award since the start of the season.
This award has been
It didn't
7
just
years
happen.
running.
Absolutely.
7
So
years.
why is it
So why
illegal
the
now?
problem
Maybe
now?
they've not kept that side of their bargain.
Absolutely.
That's
They
what
should
happened.
actually come out clean and tell us. So it will be as if, of course, it was actually citing one party ahead of the other.
I'm going to be very confident that I can be certain that this particular problem has to do with monetary issues, because
It would
the
definitely
MPFL has not gotten a particular amount of money and something is happening.
Well, unfortunately, it can be so
I'm
short.
certain.
The
We know
Bengal-led
Nigeria.
The Bengal-led board has been absolutely fantastic.
No, we're not disputing that
tiers
fact.
of contract. Maybe
Yeah.
they've not dotted the lines the way they're supposed to do. At the
Maybe.
end of it, MPFL is saying you don't have the right to give an award of
But
prize
I'm only concerned about the very fact that if both parties have actually had issues, it would have been tried before the end of the season. It's a big embarrassment to the brand called MPFL. I mean, how do you say that that the highest goal scorer of the league was supposed to receive this particular award and monetary value, and then at the end of it is not receiving because of conflicts of values between both parties? It doesn't speak well for the league. So they have to find a common ground.
Let's hope they'll be able to sort it out, so we don't hit on rough territories in the course of discussing about it, because the perspectives seem to be different, and it has to come. If it's coming from the MPFL, then it's something serious.
Absolutely.
Maybe the award givers have to do the right things to get it done the way it ought to be done. Well, quickly we hear that the Super Falcons have retained Africa's top sport in FIFA ranking. Well, the conversation is that somehow they both lots of points, marginal increase of just 0.8 points. We saw them rise from 1,622.49 to 1,623.29 points. And 9-time African champions now remain continent's best, holding a frame at 36 in the world.
Poor.
All right.
Number 30 in the world. That's very poor.
36.
Number 36. That's even poorer than I thought, because last time I thought it was 30. But when you look at the Super Falcons, they've had just one international window, and it was selected to be 2 games, but was later reduced to just 1 game against the indomitable Lioness of Cameroon, where they won that. And that's the only thing that kept them is 0.08 points. So you look at other teams in Africa. Look at Morocco, who are number 3. Look at South Africa, who are number 2 in Africa. Look at the points they've garnered.
Because
compared to the
friendly games.
Exactly. So
Super Falcons is still topping them.
well, because they're already there before this particular international window. It started from March 20 something till now. That's the window we're talking about. The Super Falcons have missed 3 out of those windows and just used 1, and they played only 1 game. So that's the problem here.
I think I find it funny most times when I hear most Nigerians talking about the very fact that they've got confidence in the Super Falcons, whether they prepare for tournaments or not.
You don't have confidence in that.
I do not have. I mean, since the man Randy Waldrum stepped aside as a Super Falcons coach, it has been more like a joke at the national team level. I mean, we do not actually have, or maybe have a clearer picture of which players will be representing Nigeria at the WAFCON that starts next month. I mean, against the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon. I mean, with other countries have actually had some kind of list where they will actually map out 20-something players from the list. We do not have here. No, we should be true to ourselves.
We're already know the players that will make it.
Well, I do not know. I do not know about you. I'm sure that Shola wasn't part of that particular friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, the
It
lady in
does- it
Saudi
doesn't mean-
Arabia
it doesn't mean
wasn't part of
it
it.
doesn't mean she wouldn't be part of
Team
that.
bonding.
It doesn't mean that Ashley Bonte.
Team bonding,
Ashley-
understanding
that's
of the
why they
coaches.
will go to
Remember,
South
he's not
African team.
the current coach hasn't gone to a major competition yet after Randy Rogers step out. So there is a whole lot of work to do for this. The last WAFCON was won by South Africa. So you should actually send a clear signal that that gap is increasingly getting closer. And if we do not prepare well, if we still dwell on past glory, I do not think we even get to the finals of the WAFCON.
All right. Somewhat somehow, Super Falcons always get to the semi-finals of the WAFCON. Either they get a win it or not. 9 times champion there, what it has to do with the WAFCON, the most successful team, and they have the most experienced players. But preparation is definitely a thing for you to achieve success, and the guys are clamoring for it. Quickly, let's go to Europe, the world of transfer, and talk about certain transfer. And one key transfer would concern Manchester United. Matt Cunha completing a dream £62.5 million move to Manchester United. Well, I wouldn't want to say whether good or not. I know it. Many Manchester United fans are quite interested in it. Kevin De Bruyne completes a Napoli move for Manchester City exit.
There you go.
So put it side by side with Twitter.
Antonio Conte wants to dominate the Italian Serie A once again because I'm looking at Scott McTominay, Zamba Anguissa, Kevin De Bruyne dominating that midfield. I mean, it would be mind-blowing to see what Antonio Conte will do next season.
Does that even indicate that the Italian Serie A is a lot easier compared to the Premier League?
I do not
Because
think
from
so.
the Premier League's point of view, they're saying these players are not good enough and they're going to Italy
What?
and winning the league. When you talk about Scott McTominay, Manchester United, we saw him, Kevin De Bruyne this season. Manchester City had to let him go, thinking that he's no more at that level. And now you're celebrating the fact that he's going to Napoli and then they'll dominate.
I think it's that simple. The Premier League is all about running and running. If you do not have strength, your technicality most times doesn't even count.
You can't even say Premier League.
I mean, it's all about run. It's all about the strength. I mean, it's all about pace.
Yeah,
That's the Premier League for you. That you asked the question about players who are not doing well, maybe aging at the Premier League, going to the Italian Serie A to do well. At the Italian Serie A, it's not the same case as what we're seeing in England. It's all about running, pace, and all of that strength in the Premier League.
It's part of football.
It's part of who know. But if you go to Italy, it's all about technicality. Antonio Conte knows very well how to use you. Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City, Pep Guardiola will expect you to draw back, of course, build play, go forward. I mean, create a whole lot of work for players.
Does he suit with that system at Napoli? Never passing the ball. We know the fluidity of Kevin De Bruyne. He has to pass the ball. He has to move. He has to strike the ball. Where is he going to play? How's he going to play in that system?
He's an attacking player.
Well, I would say, first of all, I'm impressed with Antonio Conte. Last season, where he won the league, we saw him change his tactics. Something that coaches like Ruben Amorim would not do. Say, I want to, I'm going to die on this hill. But for Antonio Conte, last season, he used the 4-4-2 formation. Started with the 4-3-3, and then after the man Victor Kvaratskhelia left the team, he transformed to a 4-4-2. So now, with Kevin De Bruyne joining the side, what's that? You can transform back to a 4-3-3. So I feel he has the technical acumen to use Kevin De Bruyne to his maximum effort.
Here's how the technical acumen to use Kevin De Bruyne to a maximum effort. Valentina says. We'll go on another quick break, and when we're back, the conversation around the world of transfer continues even further. And what we're talking about also the Brentford manager, former Brentford manager now, Thomas Frank, moving to Tottenham Hotspur. What the expectations are? Don't go anywhere. Welcome back at Sports Central. My name is Vladimir from Twitter. I've been I still leave for company. Now in the world of transfer, I feel like sending them on the transfer market, but it's not going to happen. They have to stay with me and talking about this one. It's getting even further exciting. Well, part of the conversation to look forward to would be that of Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank at Brentford, absolutely fantastic. But Brentford more like a mid-table team in the English Premier League. And now he moves to Tottenham Hotspur. A big pressure after Ange Postecoglou won the Europa Cup for Tottenham Hotspur after 17 years without a trophy, but they still sacked him. Unfortunately, I put this side by side. Let's start with that conversation. Ange Postecoglou first. Was it surprising to you that he had to leave the side? Yes, domestically they were terrible finish at 17 in the log, but somewhat somehow brought a deadlock. And 17 years wait for Tottenham Hotspur gave them a title. They said it's always won a title in his second season. Is it a fear that in his third season it could be worse? That Tottenham Hotspur had to sack him. Now Thomas Frank joining the side.
Well, first of all, we when Ancelotti Scorpio won that trophy, he said third season is always better than the second season, and also in the third season sometimes the actor dies. So maybe this is the
That's what he said.
that's what he said.
Sometimes
The
the actor
prophecy has
dies.
finally come true. So maybe the man is out of the club. But I'm gonna say there's no single pundit would have said there's a problem with Ancelotti Scorpio getting sacked. He was poor last season, terrible. He got Daniel Levy to splash amount of money on players, different players coming in different positions. For me, I feel Thomas Frank coming in for Ancelotti Scorpio is a good decision by Daniel Levy. This is the best decision he's taken in a long time. Bringing Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho, and even Ancelotti Scorpio for me were very, very erratic decisions. This is the best decision. A manager who is Premier League proven, he's gone from the Championship level, come to the Premier League, and now he's done so well with Brentford. Almost get them European football this season. I feel he's going to do well at the front.
What's what I heard was a teacher before, and then started the youth system. And
now he's just like headmaster.
And now his progress, somewhat somehow, 7 years at Brentford, that was something, stability to look forward to. And now he's moving to Tottenham Hotspur. You look at the performance of Ange Postecoglou last season, he didn't play so well, so it comes like a baggage. He has to really improve the side. But on the other hand, the conversation also haunts them. They won a trophy under Ange Postecoglou.
The bar is raised now.
Absolutely.
So Thomas Frank,
well, maybe not too raised.
Maybe not too raised.
So winning just kept it at a balance.
Absolutely. But now we're talking about first trophy, first European trophy in a very long period of time.
Second demand for a trophy.
It might not just be a second demand for a trophy, but at least the top four finish in the Premier League table will definitely be an attainable height that I think Tottenham Hotspur will want to attain next season. And if Thomas Frank comes in and feels it is Brentford, and definitely he would also, hear the backlash from the fans and even the club's hierarchy. This is no longer Brentford. Yes, he's done quite well remarkably, but at Tottenham Hotspur now, we're talking about a top team in the Premier League. We're talking about a team who would definitely splash the cash to get some players that you want at that particular team. So when you are not doing well, you will be held to ransom. But I feel the man has got Premier League experience, and as a proven Premier League manager, I just wish he does well at Tottenham Hotspur.
Which he does well. Question is Brentford any much different from Tottenham Hotspur? Well, time will tell. We'll talk about that. Well, Galatasaray have signed Laura Sani in this particular season, the window that we're looking at now. They've signed him and the next is moving from Bayern Munich on a free transfer in that direction. But for our conversation, Fontina, what are we missing out?
Well, Alexander Arnold on his unveiling for Real Madrid, this man spoke Spanish all through. It shows you that this man actually he took Spanish lessons. That means he's been planning this move for a long time. Because you can learn Spanish in just 2 months. You need a whole lot of time. He gave the full interview, the full welcome speech in Spanish. That's a lot.
And Real Madrid officials were surprised.
Everyone was surprised.
They didn't expect it.
He cooked that transfer for about 2-3 seasons before moving.
He's always wanted to go there. Yeah. But the other conversation all around this is not just about most Europeans get to speak other languages.
We know. I know this English. English players that do not know Spanish. Look at Bellingham too now doesn't know how to speak Spanish. Lamine Yamal sometimes uses English to communicate in the media.
Europeans speak multi languages. So that's a conversation. But nice for him. I don't know which language you're going to learn because the sector close.
Maybe I'll definitely have to learn Spanish.
I can give you some Spanish lessons. Esperados o comer así.
You have to interpret that for me.
Well, good news is that the Ballon d'Or list of nominees will be announced on August 7th. So let's just wait till then. A lot of people are already talking about Lamine Yamal against Ousmane Dembele. I'm glad that we have to wait. At least by August 7th, we'll see a bit, some glimpse of next season. By that time, the whole hype about Lamine Yamal this season and Ousmane Dembele would have calmed down a bit.
Well, maybe we're going to talk Spanish with Mr. But here we got a call on today's edition of Sports Central. And thank you for being a part of it. My name is Vladimir Kemp, and we bounce.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
What you do makes me cry at night. You grown ups say you love us,